is a Canadian singer-songwriter and actress. She's best known, certainly to me, from her song Constant Craving, which was a huge hit in 1992. Her musical styles that she generally does are country and pop, and she's been described as being cowpunk. She started her musical activities in 1981, and she's still active. I counted 14 albums, including several collaborations and one soundtrack. Apparently she thought that her country fans would backlash against her when she came out as gay, but actually they didn't particularly. They did backlash against her when she came out as vegetarian and supported animal rights. And that's because of strong connections between country music and the cattle industry. And also that her home area of Alberta in Canada is a strong cattle farming area. Hi, my name's Dan. So this album was Katie Lang's third collaboration album with a band called The Reclines. Now, the history of this is a little interesting, I find, because The Reclines are actually a band that she was involved in the formation of back in 1983, and they were formed as a Patsy Cline tribute band. So this album is country, very much country. And it confuses me. And the reason why it confuses me is because I like it. Okay, so I generally have this impression of myself that there are some areas of music that I find more challenging. And some of them that there are some albums that I like, and I have some what I think of as blind spots in country. So generally, I can go, country, not that interested. And sometimes I actually get quite strongly turned off by country, but there are a couple of very strong exceptions, which are Johnny Cash and Dolly Parton. I've got a reasonable amount of time for both of those. So this has confused me because it's not Dolly Parton, it's not Johnny Cash. It is most definitely country. It's not something that's kind of on the edges of it. It's very kind of slap bang in the middle of quite a bit of country, I would say. And I like it. I actually like it quite a bit. So I'm having to reappraise my thoughts about country. And is it country itself that I dislike? And I think possibly it's not, and that there are just certain types of country or a couple of things. So the things that I complain about mostly when there's country music that I don't like very much there are two of them. One is very nasal singing, and I don't like nasal singing almost any genre. So I find that some English folk is very nasal, and that puts me off. I also find the guy from Nickelback is quite nasal, and the guy from Metallica, we'll come to Metallica later on the list. It's just, there's something about that kind of singing that I don't like. Anyway, and the other one is the overly emotionally manipulative songs like Deck of Cards and No Charge and things like that. They're just so kind of meant to be tear-jerky. There was one person on a comment for one of my reviews used the word mawkish, and I love that word because it so strongly evokes this thing that I don't like in country. And this album has neither of those. So I feel like I'm going to allow myself to like it, which is just as well because I do like it. And this is the kind of conflict potentially between my kind of, when I'm listening and do I actually like something or whatever, and whether my mind, kind of sensible mind, takes over and says, oh, you're not allowed to like this because it's country. I didn't let that happen this time, and I'm glad. So, but I'm refining my thoughts of what it is that I do and like and I do and don't like all the time as I go through, and trying to articulate it better and understand it better. Right, so let's get back to this album. It's very country. It's a bit of a catalogue in some ways of country tropes. There's definitely things like steel guitars and fiddles here and so on. There are bits that I would say kind of lean towards the towards the bluegrass. There are bits that I would say lean towards the rockabilly. There are bits that I would say lean towards the Hawaiian in here. There's quite a range of stuff. There's quite a decent amount of faster stuff going on in here, and I often like the faster bits of country more. Katie Lang's voice, really nice voice, so this helps a lot, is that I find her voice really attractive. Is actually, interestingly, I find it is really sticking out in the mix. It's very the really strong focus on her voice in this album. Her voice, the ornamentation that she uses, I mean, again, it kind of sounds country, but it's definitely kind of veering towards the rockabilly and using kind of rock and roll ornamentation in there with the countryness. And, maybe that's partly what I like about it as well. But I think it's the thing that really attracts me in this album is that it's just done with such joy, the whole thing. And that's not just her and her singing, it's the whole band feel like they're just having a good time. And that comes through in the playing and in the songs and, the whole thing. There's some quality playing in here. It's really nice. Songs, what they're about, they're mostly quite normal kind of love songs, relationship songs, that sort of thing. My favourite couple of tracks from point of view of the content is Big Bone Gal, which is an interesting song about a kind of character, and Nowhere to Stand, which is the last track of the album, which is more of an emotional song because it's actually got something about children's rights, and I don't know if it's about trauma or about formative experiences. It's kind of maybe the same thing, but it definitely has something to say, and it's not going to go back to the last word. It's not done in a mawkish way. It's done in a sensitive way, I think. So I really quite enjoyed this album, and I'd love to know what you think, as always. So please talk to me through the comments box. And that's it from me for now.
She was a big bone gal from southern Alberta. You just couldn't call her small. You can bet every Saturday night she'd be heading for the Legion Hall. Put her blue dress on and she'd comb her hair. Oh, she'd been waiting all